today together to bring justice to the family of Charlie Kirk and honor his memory. I want to express my deep gratitude to President Trump, the Vice President, and the entire White House who have been so incredibly supportive with both resources and just personally to the FBI as a team. They had our backs the entire way, and I just want to express my gratitude for giving us the resources we need to operate in this space to bring this sort of justice at this sort of speed. In 33 hours, we have made historic progress for Charlie. In 33 hours, we have made historic progress for Charlie.
And from this gap testing, we've identified 33 positive cases amongst students. And from this gap testing, we've identified 33 positive cases amongst students.
Pennsylvanians who have tested positive for
COVID-19. Today we have 33 cases.
There were 33 new cases.
The state of Minnesota today reported 33 new COVID-19 related deaths.
There are 33 confirmed cases in Arkansas.
That's the largest single-day increase so far, raising the total to 33.
Massacre in Uvalde, Texas. 13 days ago, there have been 33 mass shootings across America. There have been 33 mass shootings across America.
A gun company is offering a $33 million settlement to families who lost loved ones in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in Newtown, Connecticut.
Now, you estimate that the Titanic sank in latitude 41 degrees 33.
Club 33 at Disney is now open to the public.
The one that you should really be apologizing for, and the thing that you should be apologizing for, are the 33,000 emails that you deleted.
Good radar data. Altitude now 33,500 feet. Altitude now 33,500 feet.
Hal wasn't too far off. I suspect that Hal may be just about right by the time.
We have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law.
All right. I just got a request. Somebody wants me to play that again. Okay. It was an interesting clip, by the way, if you missed it. Very interesting. It's referred to a lot. Let's just say that. In fact, sorry, I started the show just a titch late today. I apologize. And okay, so let's do that. Why not? It's worth listening to. Just listen to all the different references. Okay, here we go.
Oh. The FBI and our partners are proud to stand here today together to bring justice to the family of Charlie Kirk and honor his memory. I want to express my deep gratitude to President Trump, the Vice President, and the entire White House who have been so incredibly supportive with both resources and just personally to the FBI as a team. They had our backs the entire way, and I just want to express my gratitude for giving us the resources we need to operate in this space to bring this sort of justice at this sort of speed.
So interesting, the references there to camaraderie and shoring each other up, and 33 hours exactly. It's very, very strange, right? I mean, I don't believe in coincidences, so I have a hard time believing that's not a weird part of the story of Charlie Kirk's death. And then, of course, Kash Patel was on, to talk about, look at our camaraderie, look at how in we're all in. And he must have said that so many times at the time, because we're coming up on a year in September. That's how crazy that is. I interviewed Charlie about a year and a half ago, maybe. And anyway, okay, let me go on.
In 33 hours, we have made historic progress for Charlie. In 33 hours, we have made historic progress for Charlie.
Okay.
And from this gap testing, we've identified 33 positive cases amongst students.
They have that a lot.
From this gap testing, we've identified 33 positive cases amongst students.
Okay.
Pennsylvanians who have tested positive for
COVID-19. Today we have 33 cases.
There were 33 new cases.
The state of Minnesota today reported 33 new COVID-19 related deaths.
There are 33 confirmed cases in Arkansas.
That's the largest single day increase so far, raising the total to 33.
So that was the story. There were other days they actually said totals, but that was the single biggest total. And that total of 33 during 2020 is what caused the states to fold, the governors to fold and do their lockdown, because it was the single biggest. Okay. And I'm going to talk about those symptoms too. Okay, here we go. By the way, you can call up today. The number's on the screen and you can call up. I'm going to take your calls. I'll take your comments too. Okay, here we go.
Massacre in Uvalde, Texas. 13 days ago, there have been 33 mass shootings across America. There have been 33 mass shootings across America.
That was Uvalde. Interesting, huh? Interesting. Okay.
A gun company is offering a $33 million settlement to families who lost loved ones in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in Newtown, Connecticut.
Oh, that's a weird one. Okay.
That the Titanic
This is interesting.
sank in latitude 41 degrees 33. Degrees 33.
Okay. Did you guys know that? The Titanic sank at the 33 degrees. Okay. A lot of people don't know that. Here we go.
Club 33 at Disney is now open to the public.
The one that you should really be apologizing for, and the thing that you should be apologizing for, are the 33,000 emails that you deleted.
Hillary and her 33,000 emails. Guy, this number just keeps popping up.
Good radar data. Altitude now
Moon landing.
33,500 feet. Altitude now 33,500 feet.
It's to now 33,500 feet. I mean, it was just interesting.
500 feet.
That number kept
Hal
cropping
wasn't
up.
too far off. I suspect that Hal may be just about right by the time.
We have released 33,000, over
Wow.
33,000 Epstein
33,000.
documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law.
Okay. Can't be a coincidence, right? I mean, I'm not a coincidence theorist, so can't be much of a coincidence. The Federal Reserve is at 33 Liberty Street. Sorry, I'm just like, you can't make this up. 33 Liberty Street. Do you ever feel like they're mocking Christ? Christ died at 33. Do you ever feel like they're mocking Christ? Now, I know it's the Masonic 33. I get it. Okay. And that was developed, the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Okay. The 33rd degree, that was developed in the 1800s, May of 1801. And they did that in Charleston, South Carolina. So that began the beginning of the Supreme Council of the Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rites. Interesting. Okay. So we had 33 degrees existing in previous systems, but organized into the 33 degree structure at this time. At that time was 1801. And I did find that there's so many references. I could go on and on about the 33. In fact, I can't remember, honestly, I can't remember last night. There was some kind of coverage on a story and they mentioned the word 33. And I just went, oh my gosh. And I turned to my husband and I'm like, I still can't believe that they're utilizing this number so much because it's so obvious now, you know? So I wanted to kind of, third of the angels cast out. Yeah, you're right. Yep, you're right. Out of heaven. Thank you for the call. Thank you for the text. 33% of the angels cast out. Very interesting. Now, the temple ceremonies actually, a lot of people like confuse masonry and temples and all that. The temple ceremonies actually go back all the way through the Old Testament, and they're written on the stones. They're written on the walls in Egypt. But the Masons sort of like hijacked that and then kind of made it their own. So I think there's a lot of people that are Masons that feel like I'm part of like a nice little crew of men that want to help out. I'm sure there is that position or that kind of situation amongst the people that are in there doing more of the nefarious things. So there always is, right? There's always you have a few white hats in the CIA thinking that they're saving the world from all those terrorists. And then you have the the most of the CIA, which is willing to break any law, willing to do anything to catch the bad guy. When they're not really catching the bad guy, they're actually fomenting the bad guy. So there's lots of lies that we're told, and obviously theme of the show probably is lies that we're told, but that number 33 comes up quite a bit. So I do want to talk about a few references with that, and I want to invite your comments on that too, because I feel like it's important to hear from you on, is there something, I mean, I know I'm missing tons of them because there's been so many. Charlie Kirk's killer, which was the patsy, found 33 hours later. Kash Patel saying that, and my governor in Utah getting up and looking like he's lying to the screen. I mean, it was so obvious. It was so disturbing on so many levels. And so I just kind of had to go there for a minute because the references are so thick. Titanic, 33 degrees. Just so many, right? The lawsuit with Sandy Hook, $33 million. Just so many references. 33,000 emails of Hillary, 33,000 emails Pam Bondi talked about. So yes, are they all part of a club? Yes. And is this a recurring theme? Yes. So I wanted to mention this one. This one is big news today. And the reason I know you're probably, I'll get back to the other stuff in just a second. This was kind of like leading news, okay? And I want to tell you a little bit about what they were saying. Race to track rat virus passengers on the cruise ship, okay? Global effort to stop spread. Panic hits Texas, Virginia. COVID flashbacks. Mask up, okay? They want you to mask up. They want you to have COVID flashbacks. That's why this is in the news. And so, just to reference this, because when I saw this on a cruise ship, you guys realize one of my first stories about COVID was the cruise ship. And we were saying, there's something really off about this whole cruise ship story. And I'm going to say the same thing about this. Now, I want to tell you the hantavirus infections. Hantavirus, I kid you not, starts out like the flu. Don't they all? Don't they all start out like the flu? Starts out like the flu. And of course, it appears 1 to 8 weeks after exposure to the virus. It includes, I kid you not, because it's all the same ingredients make the same cake. Okay, so fever, muscle aches, headache, chills, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, dizziness, and of course, a dry cough that worsens over time, and a little shortness of breath because you got to capture in pneumonia. So I just wanted you guys to know that, again, I had flashbacks from COVID-19 just because of the whole cruise ship thing. But isn't it kind of interesting when they isolate this to a cruise ship? Because people believe it. See, you go, well, who could have infected them? The crew? And you go, well, this is a plausible story. So therefore, must be true because they got this hantavirus. Okay. So basic flu, again, same with COVID. COVID was a big lie. It was just the flu and pneumonia. And I know this, I know this to be true. Even in my own husband, they tried to say he had COVID, and the actual medical report came back that he had pneumonia. And then, of course, with a little asterisk, and it said possible COVID, to cover their asses because they wanted to get paid for my husband. Because when they said COVID, without even looking hardly at the X, oh, he's got COVID. We just know it. It's COVID. Then they got paid. That's how it works. Okay. All right. So, by the way, getting comments, afternoon, Kate, your least favorite viewer is here. That's not true. That is not true. All right. So, LB, bats flew in from Japan. Yeah. I'm surprised they're not going for the bat this time, really and truly, because the bat's their favorite story. But they got to kind of move away from the bat because people aren't buying it anymore. So they're going to the little mouse, okay, the little rat, okay, hantavirus. So I just wanted to thank you. Blue and white looks good. Oh, thanks. So just looking at YouTube on some of the comments, and I appreciate you guys being on here. And COL, you are not my least favorite viewer. Listen, There's always so much to cover. I get called a lot of names, and it gets interesting on this show for sure. And doing this for 16 years, trust me, I've heard it all, seen it all, I think, at this point. Bat rat, LOL. Yes, I think so too. Bat rat. And thank you, Padrig. And of course, Utah is one of those places where they love to say the hantavirus is at. So we'll have to see on that one. There's another, oh, hi, Michelle. Look, there's another story too, just because, look, let's just leave it at flu. You're going to see flu again. Flu came back, flu disappeared, then flu came back, flu never disappeared, right? But it did in 2020. Then it all came back. And then it took them 2.5 years to cut the CDC to come out with flu numbers. Did you guys know that? Took them 2.5 years so that people would forget in 2020 to confirm the number of COVID cases. It took them quite a while. So anyway, I just, Jeffrey, no, you don't get called names. Really? I do. I actually do get called names all the time. You should see my emails. Okay. Let's move on. I want to move on because rats freak me out. But I also think that this story's BS, completely BS. You can do without what you want. You can believe in it if you want, but it's all the same as the flu. It's always the same as the flu. COVID said they had 90 symptoms, basically every illness on earth. So you can believe what you want, I guess. It's all up to you. It's America. All right. So I love this country. I just hate what my CIA has done to it. Okay. So let's go here. This one is very interesting because it feeds into Project Bluebeam. And I told you I was going to talk about this. By the way, Morley Robbins is going to be on with me on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. Okay. Melissa's out next week. And so I do have a show for Wednesday to a guest. But I'll announce that guest on Tuesday. But yes, Tuesday, Morley Robbins. So we'll be talking a little bit more about health. Okay. So here is the headline: U.S. intelligence warns pastors to prepare now. Why is U.S. intelligence warning pastors? Anyway, how impending UFO disclosure could shake the Bible's foundation. Do you notice in this headline, just wanted to give you kind of an insight here because this is Project Bluebeam, how impending UFO disclosure could shake the Bible's foundation. Do you guys realize that all the headlines about this is the conclusion that they're giving you in the headline? Right here. You are going to be shaken by your belief in the Bible when you see the impending UFOs that the government's created. You probably down in Antarctica because they have the whole country to themselves. So when they do this and they unearth documents, because they're in Project Bluebeam, it's about unearthing artifacts. The artifacts will be fake, but they're going to unearth artifacts that are going to shake the foundation of the Bible. And they're going to try to get people to shake their faith away and conclude that it is not, that the Bible isn't true. Okay. So right now in brainwashing intelligence world, they're trying to show you exactly how to feel about this. So this is basically your headline: how impending UFO disclosure could shake the Bible's foundation. They're giving you the conclusion before the story even really is going to come out, right? So it's kind of like, this is where we're going. We want you on board. So why don't we start you out with this premise? Okay. So they were talking about some kind of briefing. Okay. Now, why are the pastors getting ready for this briefing? Why are they okay with a briefing from the CIA? Pastors in of itself should have those spiritual feelings that, hey, maybe the CIA's lying. Okay. First off. All right. So they met with some in Tennessee is the claim. And that, this is basically a large number of pastors meeting with individuals connected to U.S. government. Okay. Non-human spacecraft, that means spacecraft created by intelligence. Extraterrestrial materials, those are created by intelligence. Would force churches to answer difficult questions from believers. Well, no, if people are in tune with the Spirit of God, pretty much they're going to know if they're being BS'd. So then it was this. Some of the people who were in the meeting were telling us, pastors, you need to prepare and you need to get ready, and for what you are to hear is going to be released, right? And so they said, this is absolutely true. This is going on, and there's going to be a release concerning aliens, little green men. Now, when you go back into history and you look at the 13 sightings before the CIA came about, there were about 13 sightings in all of the world when it came to UFOs, okay, little green men. And I want you guys to know this because when I was looking at this, I mean, it was just so obvious. But so the sightings themselves were not actually little green men. They were sightings of stars. They were sightings of falling stars and, things coming out of the sky. The sightings were very general. The sightings were never concluding that somebody was coming in a spacecraft and that it was a little green man or a little ET, okay? So just so you guys know, 13 sightings in all of the world that are recorded. That's not a lot. And that up until the 1930s and 40s, the 1940s is really when the little green men got their start. The CIA decided that they were going to then make sure movies came out about it. We had secrets. Okay, William Cooper, one of our, what is actually kind of a whistleblower. He actually was I think he was a Navy guy, right? Military guy in military intelligence. So he came out and he said, yes, they've been leaking these documents. I've seen these documents. The problem was that they were leaking them to him on purpose so that he would go out and that he would get a hold of a community of people that don't believe the media, obviously, and people that I know, that he would actually go to them and he'd go, hey, but I saw a leaked document. There was a leaked document. So believe me, because they are hiding this. He realized right before they murdered him, the FBI, that right before 9/11, when he was calling kind of like, hey, there's going to be a 9/11 happening. They murdered him in his driveway. And when right before they murdered him, he kind of came out and said, I think I was used. I think I was used as an intelligence whistleblower, but actually, I think that they were leaking these kinds of documents to me on purpose and that basically it wasn't true. And then he was murdered. So, so do I believe in UFOs? No, because their heyday came out and they were literally kind of taken in by people and people started thinking that it was the quiet, hushed information. It wasn't. It was born to be that. It was supposed to be that. The government wanted to pretend that they were keeping the information down. And then in 2017, all of a sudden started saying, oh, well, maybe we do have aliens. And then I remember being on the air going, wait a minute, they have all these years tried to stifle, right? And tried to say that this wasn't true. And then all of a sudden, a total about face. So when I read Project Bluebeam, which was talking about the fake aliens coming, and when you listen to Werner von Braun, who was the head of NASA, German scientist, of course, Nazi, brought him over here from Nazi Germany, because that's what we did, brought the enemy over, and they headed up our government agencies. But on his deathbed, talked about the fact that they would utilize the lie of aliens to bring the world into like a world government to fight said aliens. Okay. So this is going to get interesting. I really do think this is going to get interesting. And when I saw this headline, I thought, oh, okay. So intelligence is now acting like they have the goods, which is really they have the lies, and they have a lot of aircraft, things that we wouldn't recognize that we would think were a UFO because they've had the space and the areas to be able to work on these machines. So, when you have a whole country like Antarctica to yourself, what are you going to utilize it for? It's not just an ice cap. It is a country with relatively normal geography all throughout the country. So why is it that us and our enemy, Russia, and our enemies are all in cahoots to keep this country from people? I don't know. You tell me. So, whole nother show. But we did go into a treaty with our bad guy, Russia, and we did walk into this treaty to make sure that people would not come to Antarctica. So what are they doing down there? What do they have to hide? Because normally it's the cookie and leaving the cookie jar, somebody's to blame and somebody's doing it. So in this case, I would say intelligence again. So look, this is what they're setting up for the coming aliens that are fake, that the CIA is developing. And basically it is this: a crisis of faith for millions. This is the headline. I kid you not. A crisis of faith is coming for millions of people. They want this. They're conditioning it. They're brainwashing it. So basically what they're saying is this: they warn that the coming revelations will split public reaction in two. See, they're already forewarning and telling you what's going to happen, that you're going to lose your faith, basically. 50% of you are going to lose your faith. Some believers, they said, would question the biblical creation story entirely. Oh, wow, that's bold. If evidence of extraterrestrial life was confirmed. And others, particularly non-believers, would freak out and turn to pastors for answers. So what do? Instead of letting the pastors be led by God to handle said fake alien crisis, intelligence is therefore going in to tell the pastors what to say. I'm sorry. You guys get this? Are you guys under? This is insane. Okay, so they meet with pastors to tell them how to react to their parishioners. Intelligence, the liars, the lying scumbags, traitors of our country that use us and use our name and use our great country to do horrible things are going to the pastors to teach them what to say to parishioners. I sure hope pastors are looking through this. Anyway, so 200 million Americans identifying as Christian. When I say most of the country is Christian, most of the country's actually conservative. I'm not lying. That's most of the country, guys. 200 million Americans, okay? They're saying this fallout is a huge fallout, and that this expected disclosure to the great deception of biblical end times prophecy, because they're utilizing end times prophecy to do this, talk about a mass falling away from faith. You just didn't know it was going to be manufactured and engineered by your CIA. That's all. Washington's UFO push adds urgency. Okay, so then it's talking about accelerating. The Trump administration is accelerating its own disclosure timeline. President Trump directed the Pentagon to begin identifying and releasing government files related to UFOs. This is all the fakery the CIA is inventing. Unidentified. Oh, they're identified, honey. they're just intelligence. Aerial phenomena. They're not phenomena. They're built by CIA scrubs. Anyways, and extraterrestrial life. So they utilized Turning Point. Remember how I said Turning Point would be a catalyst, that you have your Erica Kirk. She's weird. You have your Turning Point backed by billionaires. Okay. And for those that don't realize, Charlie Kirk was in the club too. Hate to say it, but he was. They all are. If you have access to the presidency, you are in the club. Presidency's in the club too. So Turning Point, backed by billionaires, they were going to make sure that Turning Point went a certain way. And remember how I said it was 3 years ago now, 4 years ago, actually. In 2022 and 2023, I said on this show, live on the radio, when it was on the radio before I was censored, I said they're going to utilize Christianity. They're going to use Christianity somehow, some way. What they're going to do is pinpoint Christianity for the fall, but it's going to be manufactured to happen, and people are going to fall for it. Does that make sense? Okay. So half true, but they don't ever talk about the core of that being manufactured. Okay. So I said Christians are going to be set up. Christians are going to be set up for what Trump brings into the presidency, and that's digital ID and war. and that we are going to be the ones that foster it as Christians. We're going to be blamed for this. And then the start of the crucify the Christian will start in this country, even though the majority are Christian. Okay. So basically, what they're doing here is they're saying, okay, Washington has this UFO push, and the Trump administration is going to start releasing things very, very soon. Now, they didn't really release anything JFK wise, and they didn't really release anything 9/11 wise, and they didn't really release anything that we were kind of told could happen, but they're releasing this. Okay. So by design. And so basically, Pete Hegseth, who I think is an actor. I'm sorry, I think he's an actor. I wish conservatives would look more closely at these people. Pete Hegseth, because he's bringing his wife to the meetings, by the way. He's firing people and bringing his wife. Okay. Anyway, so actor Pete Hegseth is acting as Department of Defense, and he said at a Turning Point event, he revealed that many very interesting documents would have their first release very, very soon. And then Trump told the crowd at Turning Point USA, you can go out and see that. Basically, J.D. Vance added a spiritual dimension to the political conversation. And in March, he talked with Benny Johnson, who's part of the club. And then Vance said, I don't think they're aliens. I think they're demons. Well, yeah, this intelligence agencies are demonic. So I would go with that. So, and then, J.D. Vance said one of the devil's great tricks is to convince people he never existed. But what he's not saying is, I'm part of the club, I'm CIA, and I'm here to kind of foster myself away from the CIA so that you don't think I'm CIA. But I'm also here to foster ideas for you where I'm going to use Christianity. I'm going to use what you believe in, and what you hold dear and what you hold on to. And I'm going to mess with it. That's basically what he's trying to say. I'm going to mess with it. So he's basically saying, C doesn't want you to exist. Satan doesn't want you to think he exists, but I'm telling you he does. So you're thinking J.D. Vance is a true believer. I have questions about that. I don't think he is, actually. But okay. And I think people that are in the CIA start to kind of think that they are gods themselves and that they own it. Anyway, that they own history, that they own what happens, and that they're part of the club, and they're willing to be part of the club. Because if you had a conscience and you were a true believer in Christ, I just don't know how you could be in that group. But that's just me. So is this preparation or narrative control? See, now they're trying to basically tell you that now we're aware of Project Bluebeam. We're aware that some of these things have ever been talked about. But now we're going to try to make sure that you walk away not thinking it's narrative. And let me tell you how they're doing this, okay? Here we go. You ready for this brainwashing? All right, because they have to bring up the other side. They have to bring up the fact that you're going to think it's narrative control, right? Because they have to brainwash you out of that. So here we go. The collision between government disclosure and organized religion raises questions that go beyond theology. If intelligence, I'm reading from IB Times, if intelligence officials are briefing pastors before the public hears the same information, it suggests a coordinated effort to manage how the news lands through trusted community leaders. Basically, the CIA is telling you, we have poached your trusted community leaders, and we're going to train them on how to brainwash you further. Okay. Anyway, here we go. Whether that amounts to responsible preparation or an attempt to shape how millions of Americans process potentially world-changing information, remains an open question, how we process this. So then it was the warning allegedly given to pastors stating this. Some of the people who were in the meeting were telling us as pastors, you need to prepare your people for what you're about to hear being released. So basically, pastors are being told they have to prepare their congregations for the truth about aliens. I can't make this up. I don't even have words for this. Do you guys? Okay. All right. So PSYOP, yes, Charlie, PSYOP. I'm reading comments. Let's see. Groucho Marx, LB, I like this comment. Groucho Marx said I wouldn't belong to a club that would have me as a member. Let's see. Jimmy says, what rule would that be, not lying about Santa being real to our children? Okay, listen. Listen, I know there's lots of comments coming in. All right. So the Epstein files, release those, something Americans actually care about. Let me tell you something about the Epstein files. There's lots of Epsteins. He's not the only one. And that doesn't diminish who Epstein is. It just means that they use him as the poster child and his files. No one's ever going to see those files. And I doubt a million of them got wiped out in the first go round, even before 2020 in court. So there's no way there's files that are ever going to be exposed on Epstein ever. Sorry, it's just not going to happen. And so when people get hooked up with this Epstein file thing, I don't diminish it in any way. There's lots of evil happening and there's trafficking and there's all kinds of things going on. But we get so caught up in, I want to see the release. Why are we saying that? Because we've been brainwashed into thinking there would be a release. And so you feel like you're being denied something. The release was never going to happen. So it's a brainwashing in of itself. Okay. So get off of it. You're not going to see them. They're never going to come to light. Those files are never going anywhere. I doubt Ghislaine is in prison. I doubt that Epstein is actually dead. They do this a lot where they kind of act like they're dead, but they're not. So you know what? Sorry, I feel like the people that get really hooked on that, it's almost like wake up, wake up, because you're not going to see it. That evil hides, and it hides really well, and they cover it up with a lot of distractions. But the people that go, no, we have to demand from who? You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. So I don't know what to say. So we have NASA, money laundering. They are a money laundering station. Can I just share with you a picture? Let me just show you a picture. This is Armstrong after because they can only go up about 400 miles, right? Into the atmosphere. They have to come back because of the Van Allen belt. So check this out. I'm going to take a caller, and then I want to show you this picture. Go ahead, caller.
Kate the Great, this is Mike.
Mike, you never call. What's going on? How are you?
Hey, I just sent you a little clip of remember Carol Rosin, the white-haired Vonner von, where she talks. I've just got a few quick things about the alien. First thing and I saw that too about the pastors being brainwashed and brought in. A lot of these guys, you could tell them that they need to play the Rolling Stones' "Sympathy for the Devil" in their services,
right?
With the threat of taking away their money, and they'll do it, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, but for each one of us personally, who with the indwelling of the Holy Spirit and the discernment that He's going to give us, we're going to know, right? We're going to know it's a whole bunch of hogwash, but and you had mentioned too about Trump. I saw just in the last couple of weeks, he said something about Space Force, and he said that's the greatest thing he's done so far. So I don't think we've seen yet what Space Force is going to be all about.
The funniest thing is, actually, that was done under Obama, wasn't it? And but Trump got Trump got the credit for Space Force, but actually it was done before that. And I can't stand Obama, by the way, for the record, but it was literally done before that. They just made a big deal when Trump was talking about it, which was kind of funny. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. Couple of things. I just want to some outside fun stuff to look at. Something that's kind of a classic. It's by Chuck Missler. It's a 2-part series. You can find it on YouTube or whatever, but it was called Return of the Nephilim. And he really addresses everything, and he ties everything together with UFOs, a lot of the activities that went on pre-flood, which is when the Nephilim were around.
Yeah, why?
Things
so
like
that begs the question. People never ask this question, just like they never ask, why did polio go through the roof? They never ask it. Here's the other one. Here's the other one, the flood. Why did he have to flush everybody out? Why was it beyond repair? Why did he get to the point? Why did God get to the point, the Heavenly Father get to the point where he went, got to destroy these people, got to destroy it because it's that bad? No one ever asks that. Isn't anyone curious? Anyway.
Right. I have an answer for that.
Okay.
Okay. And it talks about, it got down to where there was so much, let's just get right to it. There was so much DNA manipulation and DNA corruption that had taken place among the human race by the fallen angels who were messing with not only humans, but putting humans and animals together and things like that. This is
maybe even
my
DNA splicing, all kinds of things, huh?
All of that was going on, and it came to the point where, and this was Satan's strategy to so corrupt the human DNA sequence to where there was no human DNA left, and therefore human beings could not be redeemed. That's why God had to intervene. He had to take the last 8 of them. I think it was Noah and his people to save it. But anyway, you don't have to subscribe to that, but that's my view on it.
Okay. I mean, hey, the Bible's true, and I'm getting this comment. It's
100%.
a book of fiction. Oh my gosh. People are okay. Anyway, people are just interesting. No, I actually believe in the Bible. And 100%. So I feel like we're gonna get really we're gonna see some documents come out, and the government will have created them. But we're going to see these documents come out, and it's really going to shake people that don't have a big footing religiously. They do not, or spiritually. They don't, they kind of cling maybe to things because their parents did, or they just don't have a good footing. And so it will destroy their faith. And we need to be around to help people through that, because we've been warned and told that was going to happen. So therefore, because we know it's going to happen, when it does happen, don't let it shake your faith, right? I'm talking to the audience, don't let it shake your faith. Make sure that you see it for what it is, because it'll be government, just like Carol Rosin said from Werner von Braun. It will be constructed by government. So just realize that now. That way, when the lie comes, it's so identifiable, right?
Absolutely. Can I throw another little zinger probability that I think is going to happen?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, okay. Just like this, we see this brainwashing, this propaganda being foretold real quick about, the Bible is a bunch of whatever and this and that with aliens and all that. I think that also God's got a few little cards up his sleeve. And I think with the rise and the preponderance and the more in the news of Turkey, the country Turkey, which is where the mountains of Ararat are, I think it would not surprise me to see that the actual Ark of Noah is brought into the news and it is discovered, like, for real.
Yes. Go look. Yes. I think you're right. There's lots of discoveries coming out. Go look at the rings of the Grand Canyon. Look at the formation of that. There's just so much evidence all around us. Sometimes it's kind of like life itself. When people think we started from a big bang, I don't even know what to say to people like that. Really? Because we're very intricately built human beings, and we couldn't have started from some big bang that never could have happened. So are we designed by a God? Yes, we are. And are we here, to be tested? I do believe we are. So, people can say what they want, but it's going to get crazy in the faith department. And we could see that. I think there was so much complacency built on how they utilize the presidency and what they get us to buy into. And I said this back in 2022, and my own conservatives didn't want to hear it. But it's true. We will believe if it's our side. And so when this comes out, I can't believe intelligence is prepping the pastors with what to say to their parishioners, and the parishioners are okay with that. They should have the spirit with them enough to decipher and say, you're BS. I'm not listening to you because you're here to brainwash me, because you're fostering a manipulated event. Anyway, that's just me.
Can I throw one other thing in?
Do it.
Okay, please. Okay, Jacques Vallée. Anyone in the secular UFO world, they'll know who Jacques Vallée is. He's a French scientist and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just a couple of things. And he was early on, and also J. Allen Hynek. But there's a quote that Jacques Vallée, he said, "We are dealing with a yet unrecognized level of consciousness independent of man, but closely linked to the earth. I do not believe anymore that UFOs are simply the spacecraft of some race of extraterrestrial visitors. This notion is too simplistic to explain their appearance, the frequency of their manifestations to recorded history, and the structure of the information exchanged with them during the contact." He goes on to say, he talks about abductees and abduction occurrences, and he makes the point that all of the abduction, the activities that go along with abductions, UFO abductions, which are documented, they are exactly like occult initiation rituals and stuff like that. And so, bottom line, he makes the connection that really these UFOs and things like that are actually just demons.
Interesting.
And that's a scientist that's saying that. Okay, he's not even a believer. So
yeah. Huh. Interesting.
That's all I got.
Okay.
Kate.
All right. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you chiming
You bet.
in. Always fun. Of course, we're getting these comments. I always love the comments, you guys. Let's see here. History up your, can't say the word. Okay. And that the biggest Christian trick is to believe that Neanderthals never existed. First of all, monkeys do exist. So there's been no other species that's ever gone from one species to another in totally different species. And when the other species, so that in of itself is true. And especially when you see the other species exist. So in the graph of all of the like Neanderthals, where are the middle guys? Did they like exist for a long time? There's just no drawings of them, or it's just the first one. Anyway, so I can't believe people actually believe that horse crap. So you came from Neanderthals. All of that was actually positioned by a lot of the guys that worked in the deep state. They, of course, Charles Darwin, all of these guys were part of the exercise of the deep state to kind of throw off Christianity. And so it's kind of interesting, I guess, when I see people side with the brainwashing, because I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, the Neanderthals, if you want to believe that they existed, half monkey, half man, you go right ahead. Okay. And then tell me another species that's actually one species and evolved into a completely different species. No, please just go. I just can't wait to hear this because there isn't one. So those same people, Jimmy, on YouTube, those same people, I want to show you a picture. First of all, no, I'm going to play you Carol Rosen's, Carol Rosen was the person working for Wernher von Braun. This is what she said about the deathbed comments in the 1970s. Wernher von Braun, the Nazi scientist. Here we go.
Good morning. My name is Carol Rosen. In 1974, after being a sixth grade school teacher, I was introduced to the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in the U.S., the father of rocketry. He said to me, Carol, you will stop the weaponization of space. There is a lie being told to everyone that the weaponization of space is now first being based upon the evil empire, the Russians. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be third world countries. Now we call them rogue nations or nations of concern. Then there would be asteroids. And then he would repeat to me over and over. And the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat. Well, at the time, I kind of laughed when he said asteroids, and when he said extraterrestrials, I knew I wasn't going to deal with that subject. And now we hear on the news just today, this week, that they've slid in another enemy. Only this time we're going to protect our satellites. In other words, we have to have some reason to spend these trillions, to waste these dollars on a space-based weapon system, and they're all lies.
Yeah, see, it's a lot of money funneling, and you have to have kind of good reasons to come up with the money funneling. So basically the laundromat of cash. You got to have a lot of good reasons. You got to pose up a Ukrainian war. Go look at Google Maps and go look at the Ukraine right now. I've done so many shows on this. I've done so many shows on the people going, there's not really a war. There's just a lot of building going on. There's not really a war happening. And they've been saying this for quite a long time, like a year and a half. There's not really anything happening over here, just a lot of building. We're going to school, we're going to the parks, we're doing all these things. And so when they bring up the theater of war, I got to love it when they talk about actors and they talk about theater. So the theater of war is truly the theater of war. BlackRock's handling the money. And of course, the money is being laundered, just like it is with NASA. Let me show you a picture of Neil Armstrong. This is Neil Armstrong when he went into the 400 miles of space that you can go into. Because beyond that, I don't think you can actually leave. So you've got about 400 miles here. Now, this is a picture of Armstrong. He is definitely happy. Do you see that? He's happy. He's with his wife. He's in a parade. He's got all this going on. He's super happy about what he just accomplished. Okay. And if you think about it, because, it was a big deal, but okay. But when you get to the biggest deal, when you get to the moon landing, okay, 1969, here is the picture of Armstrong. Okay, right here. They look really happy having accomplished the biggest thing mankind has ever done. Don't they look happy? They look super happy. In fact, they didn't want to answer questions. From this point on, Armstrong said on the talk shows, he was asked what it looked like out the window, and he goes, black. And then the people asking him the questions were a little confused by that, and black. Okay. And then he said, no more asking me questions. Now, I can't make this up. So I love it when people go, this is conspiracy crap. You guys are idiots. Look at the photo. I can't make up a photo. Look how happy he is having done said thing that he did. Look how miserable and depressed they are sitting at the table post moon landing. Do you think they know it didn't happen? Do you think they know that they didn't actually land? Well, their faces tell us this. Yeah, their faces say it all, actually, right here. Really depressed human beings. And he said, I don't ever want to be asked about it again. And then I don't have to remind you that when this guy, Buzz, was on Conan and Conan asked him, well, I was there and I saw the moon landing on TV. I was like 4 or 5. And he goes, no, you didn't. Buzz goes, no, you didn't. You saw an alternate version of it. You saw a fake version of it. They didn't have the capability. They didn't have a way to do it. We literally didn't even have remote controls that really worked very well. And we want to believe that you could actually string up a phone line to a spacecraft and that you could actually get a call in. Okay. It was performed on a Sunday. It was performed in the evening. Okay. The landing itself, because everyone was going to be home. They just happened to go up into space for the first time, and they just happened to go 239,000 miles, 1,000 miles and back, and didn't have anything on that ship to be able to do it. Have you guys seen the spacecraft itself? Because they try to make it look bigger than it is. My own father worked on it, but whatever. He worked on portions of that spacecraft. Listen, I'm just telling you that we didn't have the technology. There's no way we could have done it. Honestly, there's just no way. So I don't know who needs to hear that today, but money laundering is at the helm of what they do. The lies are at the helm. If they could lie about NASA, do you think they could lie about extraterrestrials coming in? Do you think they could lie about COVID-19 and get the whole world to believe it? Didn't you ever wonder why the terrorists didn't do anything terroristy during COVID? My gosh, they were afraid of the cooties too. So yes, the terrorists that we own, the terrorists that we manipulate and tell what to do. So yes, they just happened to just close up shop. Wouldn't that have been the best time to be a terrorist? When you know that people are easy targets? Yeah. So there's a lot of questions that we don't ask. We don't have curiosity. No one goes back and they go, well, how did we do all that? How did we talk to them on the moon? Who was taking the shots of them leaving? Who put out the camera and was taking shots of their first step? How come none of it makes any sense? And why did they start? I think it was it at New Zealand, Australia? They had to kind of foment a whole space station down there because 2 years prior, I mean, it was because they said we might have to do everything through that space station and then give it to NASA here. It was very weird. Everything about it is very, very strange. So when you go back and you actually do homework about the NASA, nothing makes sense. Nothing. How'd they get all that machinery for the rover, the big giant car? How did they get that on the moon again? You know, how'd they put it together? Did they have machines and they have tools? Because I think, you know, hurling through space in aluminum foil, you would have to have some things, right, packed into that little capsule. But somehow they had all the components of a car that they were able to put together with all those machines and things. Okay. So I guess you can believe what you want. But the spacesuit itself, very weird and very strange. And so there's many, many things that don't add up. If they could sell that lie, and then they could tell you for 50 years, we went there and we didn't need to go back. But in 2026, we wanted to go around it. Because we didn't want to go back after the Vietnam War ended and we didn't really need to utilize the moon landing for patriotism anymore. That all happened in the same month. So as soon as the Vietnam War ended, and we stopped going to the moon, NASA said on its website that we didn't have to go back because we'd already been there. So then why the fascination with going around it? Does anyone even ask that question? Go around it? We had to go around it. Can't land on it. Just go around it. Okay. All right. When you start asking those questions, when you can answer those, I'll listen to you. But until then, I won't, because there's nothing about that makes sense. Okay? There's just nothing about it that makes sense. I love this. This crap's hilarious. I can't say the word on the show. Are you the least bit curious as to why we didn't go back for all those years and now we just went around it and still don't go back? You're just not even curious. Just not even a little bit curious. Do you know being curious is a sign of intelligence? I just want to lay that out there for you. Okay. It's kind of like the same people that go, polio just went up and therefore we had to have a vaccine. Does anyone ever ask why polio went up? No? Just a blank stare? Same people. It's the same people. They can't question anything. You just have to just take what they tell you and just believe it. And those are the most gullible people I've ever seen in my life. The DDT spraying is why polio symptoms, when they named it polio, just like they named COVID, went through the roof. When they stopped spraying, the symptoms went down. The polio dose only gave you more symptoms, and they acted like it saved the day. Okay. So therefore, and this person now is saying, I mean, this guy's cracking me up. This guy's a moron. Okay. You're never going to listen to any form of education. Oh, okay. Tell me which species turned into a completely different species, please. Let's go back to the Neanderthal. Just tell me one that did that. Okay. All right. So there's that. All right. I'll take a caller. Why not? Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Yes. This recent so-called launch trip to the moon, all over the media, they keep saying what you just talked about. that they had to go to the moon and circle it and come back. This is absolutely false. Not that they circled the moon this time. Every Apollo trip, they had to circle the moon.
Yeah.
That's how they, and then the orbit, the command ship orbited the moon while they were on the planet, and on the moon, and then they came back. It was constantly orbiting. Every Apollo, 17 trips or to the moon, except for 13. Did you ever see the movie Apollo 13?
Yes, I did, actually.
Yeah. Do you remember in there where they said, well, they're going to go on the backside of the moon and we won't have radio contact until I forgot what it was, 20 minutes, something like that. And that it's orbiting the moon. Everyone went over the moon and saw the backside of the moon. And then they keep telling us in the news, this is the first time they saw the backside of the moon, the first time they orbited, when it's absolutely untrue. They're just lying about all sorts of things.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. They lie all the time. It's so funny to me that people get that gullible. They just get that gullible to there's no questions being asked anymore. This person was like, I have to share some of these comments with you because they're just making me laugh. Okay. Polio went away. WTF? What are you saying about polio? Oh my gosh, please do some homework. DDT spraying happened. Polio came out of the woodwork and just went through the roof. Okay. Polio. I'm doing air quotes. Symptoms. Okay. Congress then, in their congressional record, go look it up, asked, could it be the DDT spraying is this new polio epidemic? So then they stopped spraying as much. They started halting it. Guess what happened? That was 1952. The spraying, the not spraying, all the symptoms started going down. But they came out in 55, 3 years later, with the vaccine for polio anyway. Why? Because they were constructing a whole vaccine program that was going to be installed into the schools and made into a program, okay, that we all had to indulge in to actually harm our immune system. So then what happened was the polio symptoms, okay, of this DDT spraying were then given out with the vaccine. And the vaccine, 90 million doses, this is all verified, 90 million of those doses. We only had about 200 million people in America at the time. Okay, 250 million, I think it was. And so 90 million of the doses, okay, actually were contaminated with disease. So what do you think was causing the polio? Then the shot started, or the doses started causing the polio. And people like you moron, I'm talking to a YouTuber, walked away going, see, polio is eradicated. It wasn't eradicated. 90 million freaking doses went out at the time that were diseased because it was grown in monkey kidney cells, and the monkey kidney cells were diseased. This is all verified. This is all documented. This isn't a theory. Oh my gosh, people. Okay, so if they could lie to you about that, if they could lie to you about NASA, look at these faces. Do these faces look like they've done something? These astronauts, do they look like they've done something? The most important thing mankind has ever done that we were told? You guys, the moon landings, air quotes, stopped a month after Vietnam ended. Do you think they might have drummed up the landing on the moon to get people through the Vietnam War so we didn't turn on our own military, on our own country, because we knew we weren't supposed to be in that war and our guys were getting killed? Do you think they rushed this experience along because of that? Oh my gosh, people. Okay. Lots of lies. What can I say? There's just so many of them. I don't even know where to start. And all you have to do is go back and really look at it with some curiosity. Really just look at what we did and what we accomplished and why we didn't go back. And then look to see why they lost the most important documents. Okay. And yes, here's another brilliant comment from the audience. I'm still here because of people like you saying don't vax. Okay, yes, don't vax. Don't vax. Thank you. That's actually a good comment. Don't vax. I would not vax. It was my biggest regret with my kids because I believed it. What do you think they were doing with the Jews at in Germany? Okay. What do you think they were doing? There was about 280,000 Jews in Germany. Okay. Almost 300,000 Jews in Germany. And when they were experimenting on many of them, not all of them, but many of them, okay, what do you think they were experimenting for? Who do you think was doing that? It was pharma. They were getting together our new program, and that's actually verified too. You can actually go back and look. They were getting our program ready to go, and they wanted a program to harm our immune systems. God gave us a great immune system, and we did not have bad water over here in the United States that would cause disease. And so what happened was they blamed polio, even though it was poisoning. It was DDT poisoning, the precursor to glyphosate that we have now, okay? It was causing all kinds of symptoms. Why? Because the doctors at that point that were trained by the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine were then going to become pharma pad writers. You know, they were going to become pill popper writers. You know, this is a pill. This is pharma. This is the answer. I'm not going to try to cure you. I'm just going to go after your symptoms. Here's another pill. By the way, in 10 years, you'll be taking 10 pills because each pill will give you so many symptoms, you won't know where to stop. So we're going to just keep giving you pharma. It was a way to profit off of people. It was a way to control people through illness. Okay. We don't have bad water. These aren't the days of the plague, okay? We're not drinking our fecal matter. So over here in America in the 1950s, when things were finally looking up and really good and we were getting in a really good place, okay, they come out with sudden disease of polio and sudden things that are going on, and no one even asked why. Nobody asked why. What they did was they just basically went, oh, we have this sudden disease. We have to cure it. And who's the answer? Oh, I guess it's pharma. Doesn't it shock you that you're sold that your immune system comes in a little vial with a needle? Doesn't that shock you on some level? You don't think your body can do a lot of this? Why do you think they took copper out of our food supply? Copper, the master mineral that tells all the other minerals what to do. Why do you think they did that at the same time? Because then your body has a hard time curing itself. And what are you going to lean on? Pharma. And you're going to believe every cotton picking disease they come up with. All the diseases that came up with through the shots, like chronic fatigue and Epstein-Barr and all of these debilitating things that came up and started going through the roof. MS started going through the roof. Dementia started going through the roof. All kinds of crap started going through the roof. I can't believe people actually don't understand all this. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Oh, hello, Kate. This is Mike from Coldfoot, Alaska. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I haven't heard from you in a while either. What's going on today? This is cool.
Yeah, well, we went through the hardest winter that we've had since 1975, the coldest. Wow. Yeah, I'm down in Montana right now, helping out my family. And just taking it easy until we head back up. But
okay.
Kate, you're right on with that DDT. A lot of people don't know they were dumping that stuff by the barrel off the coast of Southern California, and I think to this day they're putting a clay cap on it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And my friend is a scientist down here in Montana. Mm-hmm. He's a head scientist for USDA. He studies pollinators. Mm-hmm. And he's finding the bees and the pollinators surrounding the farms and the trees that are in the drain lines on the perimeter are carrying glyphosate. So the bees have them, and it's changing the whole system.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm with you. Thank you. Thanks for the call, by the way. It's good to hear from you.
You got it, Kate. Thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Look, I've done lots of reports on this show about a myriad of lies. And really, honestly, it was me coming in. At first, I was on a Fox affiliate. Okay. And then that went away. I was censored, brought back. And then I was on my own. Then I was in some markets across the United States. And then, of course, I was censored again. I've been censored quite a few times. And it's because I keep bringing up questions. I'm curious. I want to know the answer. And honestly, I can tell you after all of this research that I've done that the parties are basic lies. They love to have us in parties and they love to see us lying to us. And they love to see us believing that we're in these two sides in America. The Republicans are Republicans in office are just as horrifying as the leftists. They all do the same things. This is why you only see a trajectory one way. So things only go one way over the course of the last 100 years, and we never get any liberty back when it's taken. Okay. So they both foment laws to steal liberty. They both are doing pretty horrific things behind the scenes. There's only one party in Washington, but they got the people to believe that there's two parties. So whenever your party wins, you go, we won. And then I always go, what'd you win, Bob? You know, they like a game show. We won the party being in control. What are you going to get from that, Bob? Well, nothing. So this is why you're not seeing a wall being built. You're not seeing anything happen, and all the promises, getting rid of Obamacare and all these things that they say that are going to happen never do. This is why they always claim gridlock. It's why they always lie to us about gridlock, and it's why they always have excuses. All the way down to your local officials, always an excuse. Yesterday I said the data center, the best excuse they can come up with now is, we don't want to really stop anyone from coming to our community. We're not kings. Honey, you're the county commissioners. You're supposed to stop the feds from building data centers, these ginormous buildings that are a huge lie in your area. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. But you're going to get these Nimrodi little county commissioners all over the country go, what? We had to. No, they didn't. They just promised their governor. Okay. This is why you keep seeing the same garbage over and over and over again. This is why no one's getting rid of spying. No one's getting rid of all this regulated, ridiculous, expensive health care. It's not health care, it's death care that we're being given. Okay. No one's doing a thing about anything. You're not getting any liberty returned to you. There are 1 million laws on the books every single year. Okay. All the way down to local laws. All those laws go through. Your liberty is being penalized every single day. Every single day. And then we think, well, my party's going to get in. They're going to save me. Has that happened? Name once in the last 100 years when that actually happened, because that's not true. Republicans believe that any war we go into is correct, that we're saving humanity somehow and human rights. It's all BS and a lie. The leftists don't do any research. I have found them to be some of the stupidest people I've ever met, because they won't look into history. They have no ability to kind of look into the future and even read history to go, oh, they might repeat that. So yeah, you're dealing with both sides, and both sides kind of suck. So my show has been built on doing over 38,000 hours of research and then bringing to you what I find. Okay. That's what the show's about. So I'm going to go back to my original clip coming in. Let me go to the original clip coming in. And if you can't see that there's well-laid plans here and that maybe somebody's BSing you, I don't know what to say at this point anymore. Let me just play this clip for you if you came in late to the game today, because I played this in the beginning. The number 33 I present to you.
The FBI and our partners are proud to stand here
Cash
today
Patel.
together to bring justice to the family of Charlie.